Better go hide in my room.
We are ranking every single roller coaster at Cedar Point by Roller Coaster Tycoon 2 standards. And right now, we are ranking them on nausea. So I hope you're ready and excited. Let's go. How are you doing, cool people? Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today. Today we are talking about Roller Coaster Tycoon. I'm not sure how many of us have actually played Roller Coaster Tycoon 2, but Roller Coaster Tycoon 2 had their roller coasters divided into excitement, intensity, and nausea. So today we are talking about nausea. Which rides of Cedar Point's are the most nausea-inducing? If you are worse at making people nauseous, that's a good thing, which means you will get more points. So it's in reverse. Better gives you more points, and worse gives you fewer points in this case. So we're really scoring for the rides to not make you nauseous. All right, so our first ride is
Wilderness Run. Wilderness Run.
I think makes you very nauseous overall, especially for adults. Now, kids, it really doesn't matter. It is only 2 loops. There's not a whole lot, but it's not really something that I think is an awesome ride. Now, because it's so short, it actually helps it translate a little bit better, but right now it gets first place one way or another because it's up against nothing. Next is
Woodstock Express.
Does not make you very nauseous, and that's something that I really like about it. So it does a very good job at not making you nauseous. So for nauseous, it gets first place out of 2 rides so far. Our next ride is Blue Streak, and Blue Streak can make you a little bit nauseous. It's not terrible, but I would definitely say that it's worse at not making you nauseous than Woodstock Express is. So Blue Streak receives second place out of 3 rides reviewed so far. Cedar Creek Mine Ride, on the other hand, is a great ride to make you feel sick. It does a very lousy job at not making you nauseous, which is a problem, I think. But I still enjoy riding Cedar Creek Mine Ride. It's one of my favorites. It's just not going to be great on the nauseous scale. Corkscrew, on the other hand, is the worst ride, bar none. Actually, that may not be true, but it is a very bad ride as far as making you feel sick. When you ride Corkscrew, you definitely need to do a lot of holding your head back as much as you possibly can. Now, Corkscrew, if you ride it right, can actually be somewhat decent, and it is a really good historic ride, which is what I like about it. But the trick to riding Corkscrew, you go over a loop and you got to put your head back. You go over an airtime hill and you got to put your head forward. That helps by far the most, and even then, it doesn't help that much. It does help. It doesn't eliminate it entirely. So, as far as Corkscrew goes, it gets 5th place out of 5 rides so far. Gatekeeper has very oversized elements that I find really fun, and I find it to be an incredibly smooth attraction. I do think there are some people who ride those really big oversized going upside down stuff like that, and it's just too much for them, but certainly not for me. I give it the absolute best rating for not making you sick on this list so far, so it has first place out of 6 rides reviewed so far today. Gemini can make you feel a little bit sick, mostly just because it shakes you quite a bit, but it is substantially smoother than Blue Streak is, so I'm still giving Gemini much higher at 3rd place out of all the rides that we've talked about so far in this topic. I gave Iron Dragon 2nd place out of all 8 rides that we've talked about so far. Iron Dragon, because it shakes back and forth, it swings back and forth a little bit, it mitigates a little bit of the jerkiness of the ride, or what could be the jerkiness of the ride. And because of that, it does give it a bit of a better option on it, as far as something that's not going to make you feel quite so sick. It's definitely fun. It's a smooth ride. It's been something that I've done to take naps on since I was in high school. So because of that, it doesn't really make you feel very sick. So let's keep on going. Magnum XL 200 can make you feel incredibly sick, and really the biggest reason why is because it was handmade. So at the very end you have some bunny hills that go like this. They don't really have enough space, especially at the bottom, to move smoothly into the next downhill or uphill, because it wasn't made by computers. So at that point, when you're getting into that, you do a lot of this. And that being done back and forth really can make you feel sick and very, very dizzy. So that is one where I give it a pretty high rating, or a pretty low rating in this case, for nausea. I've given it 6th place out of 9 rides so far tonight. Maverick is an incredibly smooth ride, but because of all of its twists and turns that are substantially smaller, I do give it a lower rating than the rating of Gatekeeper. Gatekeeper is much less nausea inducing, but Maverick really isn't particularly nausea inducing. Better go hide in my room. Maybe this is why I need to move. Well, last night was an adventure, wasn't it? I didn't really expect that to happen. I heard a round of gunshots last night, and then I ran straight into my room, and I called the police, asked them what was going on, and they said that the police had actually heard it on their rounds, but nobody else had called yet. So I don't know exactly what happened or what was actually going on. I've never heard that at this house before. Not anywhere like that. One time I heard a gunshot, but this was not just a gunshot. This was like a lot of shots all at one time. So yeah, that was that was a lot. So anyway, though, we're gonna continue where we left off. I ran into the bedroom and just shut the door, locked it, and just kind of hid out after I called the police, because I was just like, I don't know what's happening. And they did say that the police obviously were on it, but anyway, though, nothing happened. We're all fine. And let's just finish up this video, shall we? So Maverick received 2nd place out of 10 coasters that have been reviewed at this point. Next is Millennium Force. And Millennium Force, as far as nausea goes, is actually really good. There's not very bad nausea stuff that you're going to have. As a matter of fact, I think I might put it higher than Gatekeeper, because it's really not one that's terrible as far as the amount of going upside down. You don't go upside down. You do a lot of race car moves, you know, a little bit of angles, and at one point you're so angled that you're almost upside. I mean, you basically are, but the G-forces don't really make it feel like you're upside down. You're just going very, very fast. So, you know, I think we have to put that there, because it's not one that's going to make you dizzy as far as making different loops and things like that. Now, as far as Pipe Scream goes, Pipe Scream makes me crazy nauseous. It is awful. It's honestly not, it's just not a very good ride one way or another. But definitely a very, very nauseous ride, or a ride that makes me very, very, very nauseous. So we're gonna put that at actually all the way down at the very bottom for Pipe Scream. So Pipe Scream receives 12th place out of 12 rides that have been ranked so far. Raptor is very nausea inducing. It's also very fun. It just throws a ton of crap at you really, really, really fast. So it's one of those rides that's kind of difficult for me, because it is very, very fun, but it also really makes me dizzy in a lot of different ways. So nausea is not the best thing for this ride. So I'm gonna put Raptor just after Magnum XL 200. It actually is a little bit worse to me than Magnum is. Even though Magnum has that moment of this, that's pretty bad right at the end. But Raptor, really throughout its course, can make you pretty sick. But it's still a very, very fun ride. It's certainly not something that I hate. And I gave it 9th place out of 13 rides so far. Rougarou, while I am definitely developing more and more and more of a soft spot for it all the time. It is a head-banging machine, and it can often hurt very, very badly. And because of that, I've given it 12th place out of 14 rides that have been reviewed so far. It is something that when I get off of it often, I can feel really sick. My biggest tip is always keep your head completely pushed back as far as you can against that seat for stability, so that you just give yourself all of that ability to just stay right here, because if you move even just a little bit, you're going to box your ears on the restraints that are right next to your ears. That's not fun, and that's the reason why this ride doesn't get a great ranking for nausea. Steel Vengeance, while being one of the most fun rides and one of the most exciting properties at Cedar Point, it still can make you pretty sick, especially given a lot of the up and downs as you're going through, and multiple moments of turns, very, very fast body rolls, and also some that kind of body roll as you're going down. There's a lot to it. There's several helixes and just all kinds of crazy stuff that you're doing on that ride, and some of them are very small at the very end that kind of weave in and out of that of the wooden structure underneath, and so you don't even always know which way is up on that ride. That's a fun part of the ride, but it also can be very nausea inducing. So I did give that a little bit worse than Maverick. So that's 5th place out of 15 rides that have been reviewed for nausea at this point. Valraven, I am going to give 2nd place out of 16 rides for nausea, because Valraven is one of those very, very large elements rides, along the same vein as Gatekeeper, but Valraven, for my money, is much smoother than Gatekeeper is, and that smoothness is what sets it above Gatekeeper. Gatekeeper can be a little bit more nausea-inducing. Of course, for the elements, it can be more nausea-inducing, but Valraven is in the same boat as far as that goes. Dropping, sitting there and dropping, that doesn't make you more nauseous or anything like that, other than maybe just your own nerves. But it is a very, very fun, very, very smooth experience. It's a great ride, and I've given it 2nd place out of 16 rides so far. Now, Wild Mouse is a nausea machine. Especially if you get the cheese car. It's awful. It spins just like crazy. Now, I love to get the cheese car just because it's the cheese car. It's exciting. But it does hurt, and it's not fun in a lot of ways. Every time I get on it, I'm like, yeah, this is gonna be fun, and then it's like, no, that was not fun. this hurt. This wasn't fun at all. So now, if you can get a really great ride where you're kind of going mostly forward all the time, and you go into bends, maybe you go in backwards and then you stay straight and you go straight toward the front, sometimes those can be nice. It's rare that kind of thing actually happens, though, and it's not necessarily the most fun ride, at least not in my opinion. So as far as nausea goes, I'm giving Wild Mouse last place. That is 17 out of 17 rides for nausea. So let's run down that ranking right now. At 17, we have Wild Mouse, 16, Pipe Scream, 15, Corkscrew, 14, Rougarou, 13, Cedar Creek Mine Ride, 12, Wilderness Run, 11, Raptor, 10, Magnum XL 200, 9, Blue Streak, 8, Gemini, 7, Woodstock Express, 6, Steel Vengeance, 5, Iron Dragon, 4, Maverick, 3, Gatekeeper, 2, Valraven, and at the number 1 spot is Millennium Force for nausea. So I hope you guys enjoyed hanging out with me again today. Thank you guys so much for hanging out for this series. Sorry about the interruption in this video, but I'm kind of glad I went and hid. So thank you guys so much for hanging out, and let's go!
Hey, thanks for watching. I release theme park related videos at least a couple times a week, so press that subscribe button if you made it this far. Also, check out similar videos in the playlist to the right or find my newest video to the left. Thanks again, and let's go!